tek ve hayat.
Sensiz bir kadere razı olmam.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we'll recap a 2017 Turkish horror TV series named Sahipli. Please watch the first and second episodes to understand this recap better. The link is in the description. Before we start, it is a request to please like and comment on the video as it will help us to grow our reach. At the beginning of the third episode, Selim comes to pick up Busra the next morning. He brings her to the graveyard, where Busra sees a plant in his hand. He says that this plant is considered pure and it keeps evil spirits away. Her mother was very fond of gardening. She died when he was 15 years old. They then go inside the graveyard, and Turkin and Kate are passing by see them. Then Busra and Selim are planting that sapling on her father's grave. And here we see that both of them are coming closer to each other. Next, Selim tells her that when he was young, he caught some flies and put them in a small medicine bottle. He took the bottle home and placed it near his bed, and kept looking at it all night. But when he woke up the next morning, the flies were dead. He had seen death for the first time, so he started crying. He took that bottle and went outside. He started digging the soil and prayed for them to get alive. Then he put all those flies on a piece of newspaper and folded it well and buried it. The next day he tried to dig it up, but there was nothing there. He felt that his prayer was accepted and that flies were alive, and that was the happiest day of his life. He feels that those flies have taught him a lot about life and death. Then when his mother died, he felt that the same miracle would happen once again. If he prays, she will be alive again. He used to secretly go to his mother's grave every night, but nothing happened. Next, David meets a carpenter named Hassan. He tells him that his friend Abdullah's daughter Busra has returned to the village. Hassan tells him that a few months before Abdullah's death, he had become very strange. David tells him that Selim was asking about Abdullah's grave, to which Hassan tells him that last night he saw Selim going towards the forest. He has seen him here many times before, and then David leaves there. On the other hand, Selim is teaching children in the school, when suddenly Ollie says that he wishes he had not hidden the truth from her. She would feel bad if she came to know from someone else. Here he remembers Bahan, that he has to beware of the children around him. We then see David meeting a man named Abni. He tells him that he wants what he brought last time, but this time it should be fresh and it should not smell, and he needs it tonight. Back at the hospital, Busra tells Aziz that she saw her grandmother yesterday, to which he says she must have shouted seeing Selim. Busra asks him why she doesn't like Selim, to which he says that he does not know, but Selim is a good person, and what happened to him was not fair. Busra asks him what happened with him, on which he tells her that 4 years ago, Nil and his daughter Yesra used to live in the same house in which she lives. Then Nil went completely insane, and all his horses died in a single night. Some people say that he had poisoned the horses, and told everyone that those horses come to that house and talk to him. They knew where their daughter was, but they did not tell him. Then one night he drank rat poison. Busra asks him what does Selim have to do with all this, to which he tells her that Esra was Selim's fiancée. Then he starts coughing, and he tells that for 4 years there is no information about that girl. Halil is listening to them from outside. Then suddenly he sees Busra's eyes shining, and Halil also comes in. She gives him water to drink, after which he becomes normal. Busra then leaves from there, and after she leaves, Halil scolds Aziz for telling all that to Busra. Now that night Selim comes to Busra's house with a plant, but she is angry with him, and says that she cannot take it. She says that she is very tired tonight and asks him to leave. On the other hand, Semel is trying to watch TV, but when it does not work, he gets angry, pulls out the sofa cover and tablecloth and brings them out of the house, and sets them on fire. Then after some time Selim comes back and picks up a cloth from there. He comes inside and asks Semel why did he burn all the things of his mother. Semel says that he was nervous seeing them, after which Selim angrily comes to his room and asks what he wants. Why is he treating him like a criminal for so many years? Here David digs a pit and he is burying a plate inside it. But then Abni comes there and he had brought his goods. He asks him to keep them there, after which Abni takes the payment and leaves from there. David comes behind the house with that bag and we see that there are bones of an animal in it. He pours something like jam and fills the pit, and then he pours the same jam on top of it. Suddenly the light of his grandson's room lights up and then turns off, and then the shadow of 2 children is seen in the window. On the other hand, Aziz's grandmother gives him some herbs and asks him to keep it under his pillow. She says that this will protect him and asks him to stay away from Selim. Aziz puts it under his pillow and then lies down on his bed to sleep. But then he hears his grandmother's voice calling him for dinner. He asks her what happened, but he doesn't get any answer. He comes out and hears his grandmother's voice. Following that, he goes to her room and gets terrified seeing that she is eating some strange thing. She calls him to her, but only then he sees that his grandmother is sitting outside and no one is inside. She asks him to have food, but Aziz is too scared and goes to his room, and the episode ends here. At the beginning of the 4th episode, someone passes outside the window of Ollie's room. He gets up and starts looking out the window, and a scary voice calls him to her and asks him to show her his face. Now the next day, Selim is teaching the children in the school when a man comes to the class and calls Selim out. He tells him that he has come to take Ollie, as his mother's health has become very critical. On the other hand, David hears something breaking from inside the house. He goes to his grandson's room and gets terrified to see his grandson's doll standing in the backyard, and remembers someone telling him to meet her if a doll fell down. He comes out, takes out some gold bangles from a box. Then he calls someone and asks him to bring a car to his house. Here in the hospital, Hal and Julia are waiting for Aziz and Busra. Just then Aziz comes there and says that he could not sleep for the whole night. Then after some time, Selim comes to the hospital and says that he has come to pick up Busra. Hal tells him that she has not come yet, and she is not even taking calls. He also tells him that yesterday Aziz had told Busra about him and Esra. Selim goes straight from there to Busra's house. He tells her that the mother of one of his students is very ill. She got cancer and is in pain. He takes her to Ollie's house, where Busra gives her an injection to ease her pain. But soon she dies. Now Selim stops the car on the way and says that he is not hiding anything from her, although there are some memories of his life that he wants to forget completely. He had lost his mother at a very young age. Then after a few years, he came to know that his mother had hanged herself, the reason for which he still does not know. Then when Esther came into his life, there was hope to live life again. But she had disappeared the very next day after their engagement, and for 4 years there is no news of her. Hearing all this, Busra tells him about Adam, that he had committed suicide on the wedding night. On the other hand, David goes to a strange place, where a woman named 𝐂𝐋𝐿 is reading some strange chants. She tells him no one will be left, everything will be ruined. Then she asks him whether the bone was buried, and this time bought from someone else, to which he says yes. She tells him not to buy from him again, and take out those buried bones, as they are wrong. Don't forget what he is doing is very dangerous. She then tells him that she has told him many times that the children he sees are not her grandchildren. Then suddenly the statue behind her starts moving, which frightens both of them, and 𝐂𝐋𝐿 says that they are asking her for gold as a punishment. David gives her those bangles, and she puts them in a box. She then gives him a bottle and asks him if he knows what to do, to which he says yes, and she asks him to leave from there. Now the next day Aziz is talking to Hal about some fountain. He tells him that there used to be a grave there. The villagers of that era dug the land to find the treasure and they got it. But the next day they were found buried in the ground. There was some force around them and their eyes were sticking out. Then 4 priests were called to drive out those devils, and they told that it is the door to the other world. Hal does not believe him, to which he says that Imam Yahya had narrated the story. That treasure is there and a jinn guards it, to which Hal says that all this is rubbish, and he has also told all this to Busra. Now she will think that everyone working here is crazy. On the other hand, Imam Yahya tells Ollie's father that they should bury his wife as soon as possible, on which he says that he is compelled because some relatives are coming from far away. That's when we see Ollie lying in his room and drawing a scary sketch. Here David goes to his grandson's room, takes out some liquid from that bottle, and applies it to the eyes of those dolls. Busra comes to her house with Julia, and she sees that Selim had kept that plant at her door. Now that night, Selim goes to meet Ollie at his house. He asks him what he has drawn, to which Ollie hands him the drawing, and tells him to go there with Busra. Selim reaches the fountain, where suddenly he sees 2 children, seeing which he gets terrified, and then both of those children disappear. Then after he leaves, we see a djinn coming out from behind that tree. Here Julia tells Busra that Halil's wife was not a good woman. One day Halil caught her with her cousin in his house. He had divorced her a year ago and then settled in this village. Then both of them talk for some more time, after which Julia leaves from there. And after she leaves, Busra puts her and Adam's photo in a drawer. Here Ali hears his mother's voice, listening to which he goes to her coffin and stands there. And only then do we see her mother's ghost behind him. And the episode ends here. Please like and subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon never to miss new video updates. Thanks for watching.